Okay, hey Alex, how are you doing today?
Great, how you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure to be out here.
Yeah, definitely. It's cool. It's the first time that I'm doing it live at a festival, so Forbidden Kingdom sounded fitting to come out and talk to some wild bass producers, you know?
Yeah, definitely a crazy lineup.
Definitely. Are you playing today or tomorrow?
No, tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Okay, hell yeah. Are you on the main stage or the Forbidden stage? Village?
The village stage, yeah,
That's awesome.
in the back corner.
I haven't gotten a chance to actually walk around yet, but it seems like a pretty massive festival ground. Have you walked around?
I just got here. We walked around a little bit. It's huge. It's really nice. Really well put together.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to finally walk around when it gets a little bit cooler. It's hot as fuck right now.
Yeah, it's so hot. It's
like
crazy. It's Florida.
hydration. Yeah. I don't think Insomniacs realized the weather that happens here when they started moving the concepts down here, because we never really have like festivals in the summer past Sunset Music Festival, and this is why. The reasoning behind my head. But for everyone listening, this is Alex. He goes by the name Versa. I'm fucking stoked to have you on today.
Thank you.
You've put out some killer releases, not only over COVID, but prior to that. How does it feel to be back at a festival?
It's awesome. The last festival I went to was Forbidden Kingdom, so it feels right. It's kind of weird. I attended it last, and now I'm here playing it, so.
That's fucking
Full circle.
wild. I had no idea you were from South Florida. So you're from around Miami?
Yeah, like 15 minutes away from Miami.
Oh, that's sick. So did you kind of grow up like around the scene there, or were you just kind of like bedroom producer, I want to make music, this is what I want to do, and then you did that?
I found out about DJing from a friend in high school, and then kind of got into producing from there, and I kind of wasn't that into it, but then later on revisited it and just was making music for fun, and then I just sent music to Funtcase one day, and
that's how it started.
Yeah, that was
and that's his label DPMO.
Yeah.
Fucking gave you a platform that really put you on a whole nother level.
Yeah, it was really awesome, to come out. No one had heard of me before, and then all of a sudden people are freaking out, what that song that Funtcase had played was.
Yep.
So it was pretty sick.
I mean, you're an OG in a lot of kids' eyes, so it must be cool to just be back around everybody and have the opportunity to start playing your own sets and all of that stuff.
I'm just happy to hear the dubstep live again, honestly. It's so sick.
Isn't it? It's really kind of surreal when it gets to the point where we didn't know when this was going to come back.
Yeah, now it's here.
And now it's here. And it's like, I played SMF about 2 weeks ago. And,
oh, really?
And
I didn't get to go.
it was super sick. But I just remember looking around, and at that moment I was like, it does not feel real right now. It feels wild. So I feel like
that was
when
me out there just now.
Yeah. Because it's like you would think they would kind of start to ramp things back up, but they're just like, we're ready to go.
Back to it, yeah.
Fuck it, let's run it.
Yeah.
That's about it. But it's amazing. I mean, I would hope that our industry would be thriving like this if we were given the opportunity to come back from nothing.
Definitely.
And it was cool because you lived in Florida, so you knew how we kind of operated throughout quarantine, because I'm from Tampa as well.
Yeah.
So we were definitely one of the only states that didn't completely shut down, but you still saw so many promotion companies and venues and shit shut down and everything.
It was a different world, totally.
Definitely. So when we went into COVID and quarantine, were you like, okay, now's the time to fucking crank out tunes? Did you start a Patreon? What was your approach to saying, okay, how am I going to continue to forward my project when there's no fucking shows that bangers are not being played out?
It actually came at a crazy time, because I was going to play my debut set in Miami at the same time COVID hit, and it canceled that show, so that would have been my first debut. And then it kind of gave me time to finish up more music, and honestly now I feel way more prepared to play a set with a lot more of my own music, so I think I took advantage of it, to be honest. It worked in my favor in some aspects.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's the goal. I feel like in the industry that we're in, I feel like we exist in the only industry where you don't necessarily have to be a musician to be a DJ and go up there and perform, because so many people from the consumer side, not only do they sometimes not give a shit, but they don't realize when you're playing your own tracks or not really playing your own tracks or playing somebody else's tracks.
Yeah.
So to come to, especially out of quarantine, to your set with so much new music and so much of that stuff, I feel like everyone is just really excited to not only see new artists, but hear new music and forward-thinking things. And I feel like out of COVID, we received some incredibly forward-thinking bass music.
Yeah, there's been some crazy dubstep coming out all throughout COVID, and still now today. every day there's some crazy new record, or at least every week for sure, there's some crazy new record that I'm adding to my playlist.
Yeah. Are there some artists that you kind of keep your eye on, or homies that you guys exchange plates, all that stuff?
I'm really bad at talking with other producers, to be honest. I pretty much keep to myself and a few closer friends. But there's a couple names recently. I've been working with Nimda. We did a collab recently that was pretty sick. Working with him was awesome. There's this new guy named Yokes, which I hadn't heard of before.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, his new shit is crazy. It's so sick. I can't even believe some of the stuff. My face when I heard some of his music. And there's some other guys too. I'm really bad at names though, honestly.
It's okay. I asked
Yari's
you how to
been killing
pronounce it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. At the moment, who else comes to mind?
No, that's a fucking awesome list. I feel like when I still go, I still like SoundCloud search in like black holes, because even though I feel like SoundCloud,
I get lost on SoundCloud.
Yes.
Every time I go on there to look for music.
Yeah.
I love SoundCloud.
I do too. It's literally like, it's not looked at like it used to be looked at, because it used to be this premier place where you could post the bootlegs and the remixes and all of that shit. But now I feel like it's not as much so like a focal point for artists maybe playing festivals like this, or artists at a certain tier level.
Yeah.
But there's so many new producers who aren't necessarily trying to be DJs and perform, and they're just making music to make music, and that's where you're finding like the best plates and the people who just put up free DLs, whatever, through Toned In, through Artist
It's
LinkedIn.
insane.
And then you
it's
just
not on Spotify. It's,
Yep.
You have to go to SoundCloud.
Yes, yeah, it's insane. And then it's like you look on the related tracks and you click on that, and then you click on another one, and then
I'll just let it play sometimes, and then I'll hear something and be like, oh my god, what is that?
yeah, and then half the time it's like a free download.
Yeah. Honestly, that's the best part about it. I'll never stop using SoundCloud, probably.
No.
All my friends make fun of me for it, but it's like, that's where you find the best stuff.
That is where you find the best stuff. And I just feel like, especially looking at a festival like this where you have predominantly based like artists and based producers, like I hate like hearing the same shit over and over and over again. And I feel like that's like so saturated, and coming out of COVID, like everyone should have new sets. You guys should be playing new music, playing new edits. And I feel like even if it's not completely like your own music, you should really be like diving deep into promo emails or diving deep into SoundCloud to find that shit that's like the next level, because that's how our scene moves forward.
Yeah, I agree. I spent the majority of my time just trying to make music, so like my set is probably twice as many of my own songs versus what it would have been a year ago, because of how much extra time I had with the pandemic to just produce and finish stuff that I had been wanting to finish forever. And then as soon as I got booked for this show, I was like, all right, that's motivation to finish a bunch more projects that had just been sitting. So
it's very hard, because I feel like our type of music is made to be played out in clubs and made to be played out in systems, and you know, we write in a certain key because that's where the subs sit well and all of that shit. And it's like, when we don't have that connection, you know, people aren't like in their fucking kitchen frying up eggs to like rhythm. Like I don't know, I'm not. And I feel like a lot of people got more into like this melodic shit, and now that we come back into bass music, I feel like there's like new subgenres like the future rhythm, like all of that stuff that's like super dope to introduce into the whole sphere of bass music, because it makes it so much more versatile. And yeah, I'm excited to finally walk around later and like hear what everybody's playing out, and it's very excited. I would consider it a success coming out of COVID, and it's like that's what you should do as a producer. Like if you're in EDM and you produce your own music, you should be producing or playing almost original sets at this point, in my eyes. That's my own opinion. I don't know. What do you think?
The more songs that you can play from yourself, I feel like the better at this point. I mean, I can still appreciate a set where people play any music as long as it's, you know, mixed together and it's all like coherent and the idea's there. But I think it's really impressive to pull up to like a Murata or a Sudden Death set where they play mostly originals, or like stuff you've never heard that they just made like a day before or whatever. Like that's the fun part of it for me. Seeing how creative they can be.
Well, I feel like that's like the special part of the genre that we exist in, because if you're like in a band, or you're like in, even if you maybe in hip hop or whatever, you can't necessarily just be on a plane going to a show and press export and be like ready to fucking go and ready to test it out and play it. And you know, we're in this age of everything's turned from analog to digital, and we just exist in this realm where we can create the crazy shit like right on our laptop, export it, go plug in our USB and play it.
Yeah, I do everything on my laptop, and like literally everything I need is on my laptop, from DJing to producing. I I spend all my time. Every song's been made on my laptop. I don't know what I would do without it.
I would, yeah. So are you on Mac or PC?
I use PC.
I
Yeah.
just switched to PC.
Really? Someone
Master
literally told me
race.
yesterday I
Yes.
should switch to Mac, and I just
No.
I'm so invested in PC. I can't give it up. I don't feel like learning a new system.
Well, I just look at like the specs of it, and I had an old like Apple desktop that I was predominantly producing on, and then when we were coming out of COVID, I'd like started a Patreon, had like some other kind of sources of income, and I was like, I need to be able to like work on the road and write music on the road. I can't just be confined to like my studio room to when I want to write. And my Mac was just like a piece of shit, and I feel like I got this for like three grand pretty much, and it's literally the like it is indestructible unless you pour water on it. It is indestructible, and like it's just so cool. Like switching to PC, I was scared to make the switch because I've always been Mac and Apple.
Really?
But the fluidity on this is unmatchable.
That's crazy. I've never heard most people that are like Mac fans are diehard Mac fans.
I know.
I love my laptop. I love being able to take it anywhere. I don't think I want to build a PC, but I just don't like being tied down.
That was mine because
I want to be able to take my laptop anywhere I go, just in case I want to do something on the fly. Like.
Yep, and that's how I made the decision to do that, because it would have been maybe cheaper to build a PC from scratch, but I wanted to be able to take it on the go. If I was somewhere where I wanted to write, just pop it open, run all my shit. Now I can have Serum, Omnisphere, whatever open at the same time, and it's totally cool. And it's a good switch. It's just like Mac has this like aesthetic to it that's very pleasing, and I feel like it's a great like college or like corporate computer, but anytime you go into any like creative outlet or facet, like you have to have something that has more processing power than that. So it's like for video gaming or Adobe or Ableton or FL or whatever you're working on. What do you work on?
FL.
FL? Oh shit. Okay,
For
so I'm
years
on
now.
Yeah, so
Ableton's
what's
so foreign to me.
What?
Yeah.
So what's so good about FL?
I don't think I feel like if I really set aside enough time to learn Ableton that I could. I have it on my computer. I've opened it like a handful of times just to mess around. And Yari, who I mentioned earlier, he was showing me how to use it, and it hurts my brain. So I stick to FL because I really like. It makes sense to me now that I've been with it for so long. The processing and effects. I know a lot of people complain because there's only 10 slots on the mixer.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, but I mean, there's workarounds for it. I just make it work. I feel like that's what all my music is too. I just make it work.
There's so many ways to like do things, and I just feel like every DAW does the same thing, but it's just like a different language, I guess. Like it's a different
It's like a problem-solving exercise. Like you have an idea and you have to figure out how to make it work.
Definitely. So when you start like your tunes, do you kind of have a method that you utilize into? No.
It's rare I open it up with a plan, but sometimes sometimes I'll be out somewhere and I'll have an idea or like something I want to change, and I'll note it down and I'll go back and do it later. But most of the time when I open FL Studio, I'll just like blank canvas and try to make a new sound and do something with it.
Are you someone who just like bangs it out in one session?
I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to. I feel like to be a better producer, sometimes it's just use your creative energy, write as much as you can, and then you have a whole idea there, and it's easier to finish it off that way versus doing it slow. Because when I do something slow, I'll really sit on it for a while, and then I'll get stuck. So my personal favorite songs are usually the ones I finish the fastest. Like Welcome Tune, I think, which is my biggest song, I finished so fast, it's ridiculous.
They literally, before you came in, they were like, wait, is he the guy that's like the dun 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 dun? Yeah, the welcome guy. You're the welcome guy. But no, it's definitely a method that I'm trying to get better at too, because I'm such like a nitpicker that I feel like everything has to be so organized. I have to have like this sound design already in a folder and all of that shit, and I just have to like write sometimes.
I'm so disorganized. I'm trying to get more organized, and it pays off, honestly.
It helps your workflow. You should put.
For sure.
I try to at least do like a racks and a samples folder, like have a template, something like that, where I can at least get in there and I know I have like basic processing, but past that point, it's kind of like a crapshoot.
Yeah, basically that's where I'm at. I've spent the last year organizing my samples, which aren't that extensive, but it's like enough for me to continue producing as Versa. Like it's my sounds specifically, and then some other stuff, and then I have some effects racks saved. But other than that, I'll usually try to do sound design from scratch. most of the time, or resample. A lot of resampling.
What do you, if you're not resampling, like, what do you primarily, like, are you resampling from other samples, or will you sit in a VST and you'll design and then you'll just resample on an audio track?
A little bit of both.
What's
Yeah,
your
it's all
favorite?
over
Serum,
the place.
Omnisphere?
I use Serum the most for sure, just because
I do too.
when I revisited producing after high school, Serum was the most easy visually to learn. Massive was always kind of difficult for me, but even though I've used it plenty of times, just Serum seems way more intuitive off the bat.
Have you ever tried Vital?
Literally twice. Yeah, all my friends are like, you gotta use it. People keep telling me you gotta use it, you gotta try it. But like, I'll get to it when I get to it, and then I'm sure I'll make some cool sounds with it. But
Yeah.
I feel like I still have a lot to go with Serum and other ideas. If I ever get stuck, maybe I'll open it and like, definitely make something cool out of it. But
It's like never ending. I feel like you can like learn so much, and then like I was listening to Company Talk the other day, and he was just saying that why would I go to another VST when I know so much about this one,
Yeah.
and I know how to make like any sound I want to, and there's still like an infinite amount of things that I can do.
It's
and
pretty crazy.
It's wild, and I feel like that's how every like VST is. I've never tried Massive because I've seen it incredibly intimidating, but Vital's pretty dope. Vital's cool for like melodic shit. I feel like the amount of like wavetables and saw waves that you can pile on. There's more than like 2 oscillators, so it's a cool VST from that standpoint. But yeah, so what's next for the Versa project?
I'm working on a lot of different projects right now. A few collabs, a handful of singles. I'd like to do another EP at some point. Yeah, just finishing up music and trying to figure out what kind of sound I want to go for on the next big project.
Definitely. Are you someone who you kind of want to keep your signature sound, or are you looking to evolve?
I want to get better as a producer and continue with the sounds that I've already established, kind of. So like to build and like create a world around that, I think would be pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so sad Funtcase couldn't make it.
Yeah,
Isn't that
I'm
so
heartbroken.
shitty?
I was talking to him earlier. I can't believe it. What a bummer. And he's gonna stay extra tomorrow just so that he can catch my set.
Oh,
And
good.
yeah.
Good. Well, I'm excited to see him either way. I can't imagine the shit show of what they're dealing with custom-wise, going from country to country. It seems like a mess, and I know they're not the only artists going through it, so I really just hope as life becomes more normal, it becomes easier to get all those artists over here, because some of my favorite artists, like, bass-wise, are overseas, like Trampa, Bad Clat,
For
Funtcase,
sure.
Dr. P, all of them, all the OGs, so
It's such a challenge being overseas.
can't imagine. And getting a visa approved is like hell. I was talking to Sippy on the podcast the other day, and she was just like, you have to have a legitimate fan base. Like, you have to be able to sell out venues if you get approved for a visa to come over here.
That's
It's not
crazy.
like where we can kind of work our way up, have some releases, do whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have such an established base to be able to get that approved and come over here. So it'll I'm definitely looking forward to it. Any of the collabs, like dream collabs?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, the 2 acts I'm most hyped to see at this festival I'd love to collab with would be Sudden Death and Murata. Those are really up there. Murata's always been really high up there. Sudden Death would be cool. I feel like we can come up with something really sick. But I'm not in a rush to get around to any. I feel like I want to finish up more of my own stuff.
There's no reason to rush.
Yeah,
It's such like,
I like to take my time with projects in general.
yes, I mean it's like something you're permanently like letting out for the world to hear. So I feel like even though in our industry, even like people expect us to release like a song every day because it just like disappears, like it's important that like you
People
take,
will at you and like, what, like, are you gonna release music? Well, I just put out an EP like 2 months ago.
yeah, what do you mean?
Give me a minute.
Yeah, like give it a minute, like let it breathe.
It took a lot of work.
Yeah, I wish they just had like a longer shelf life, honestly, but that's just kind of the industry
It's
we're
the nature
in.
of the beast, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a great expression. It is the nature of the beast. But I'm really fucking hyped for you. You're gonna kill your set tomorrow. What time's your set?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock on Village.
Village stage, yeah.
Hell yeah, I have to go check that stage out. Alex, I greatly appreciate you sitting down with me today.
Absolutely.
Everyone, please go check out his music. We are live from Forbidden Kingdom, and that's it. We out.